as a weapon to stop you from not only pursuing the things of God, but fear can stop you from reaching your place of destiny. Oh, yes, it can. See, because fear, it'll stop your faith. See, it'll stop you from God tell you this and you need to do this, and fear will stop you. Oh, I better not do that. Yes, it will. See, some of you, fear will stop you. You know, some of you saying you believe in God for a property or house, but fear will stop you. Say, like, if I'm struggling in the bills in this 3-room apartment, fear will tell you it ain't nowhere in the world you're going to keep up this 12-room house. It is. That fear, it'll stop you. See, because it's a spirit. See, you got to get beyond just the numbers on paper. Well, if I make this amount, do this or that. No, it's a spirit. Fear is also the dark, twisted, perverted side of faith. Now, we know it takes faith to manifest the things of God, but it takes fear to manifest Satan's report. See, just like the promises of God are received by faith, what Satan says is received by fear. Faith is a spirit, it's a force. Fear is a spirit and a force. Just like it takes faith to manifest what God has said, let that spirit of fear get in, everything Satan said is going to be manifested. Everything. What if you got a fear? See, like I say, with most of them, when folks have a fear of death, I'm just afraid of, it ain't about afraid of flying or afraid of driving or afraid of going out after 6 o'clock. You got a fear of death. And that spirit of fear will connect you to what you fear. Yes, it is. Some folks have died, not because of their time or whatever that means. Fear. Fear. And it can manifest in any kind of way. See, you even got to be careful of having fear about finances, because it will connect you. It'll connect, and I don't care what kind of job you got or whatever. It'll connect you, and what next thing you know, you are totally broke. Your once secure job you thought was secure is gone. Can't get nothing, no benefit, nothing. Because it's a spirit. One of the most in-depth biblical examples is the story of Job. Let's go there. Job, 3rd chapter of Job. Oh, gosh, let me hurry. 3rd chapter of Job, verse 25. Job says, "For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me." Wow. In the Hebrew it says, "I feared a fear." So fear will connect you to the thing that you fear. And Job says here, the thing which I greatly feared, it's happened to me. It has been manifested. Now, what was the manifestation of Job's fear? Go to the 1st chapter of Job. Verse 13. Now, if you read in the opening verses of the 1st chapter of Job, it really gives Job his character. Talks about he's a man that feared God or loved God and eschewed or hated evil as such. He was an upright guy, and Job was the richest in the land, and he had sons and daughters and all of that kind of stuff. But then it gets in, I don't know if it's verse 5 or 6, where it talks about Job started doing these sacrificial prayers in the sense of in case if his children or his sons sin. Job fell into sin. Fell into fear. So now let's pick it up in verse 13, because Job said in 3:25, the thing which I greatly feared has come upon me. That which I was afraid of has come to me. Now what is it that happened to Job? Verse 13. There was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. There came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain or killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I am only escaped alone to tell thee. Like, oh, wow. My servants didn't get killed and all this. All right. Verse 16. While he was yet speaking. Now, while he telling this is all happening right after another. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven. Now, before we read that, you got to understand, Job is the oldest book in the Bible, and at the time he had no conception of the devil. So the only thing you thinking, biblically, if anything happened, God? Because there was really not a revelation that there was a devil. Even though it says in the first chapter that the devil came talk with the sons of God and angels. But by the time Job had no, just like there are certain revelations we didn't have until we got knowledge. So he says, while he was yet speaking, there came another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven and has burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried them away, yea, and have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I am only escaped alone to tell them. So now, in other words, Job's business is getting shut down. Killing the workers and what helps, what produces the work, the business as such. Then verse 18, while he was yet speaking, my gosh. See, while you reading this, some of y'all think you had a bad day. It just wasn't a good day. How come it wasn't a good day? I hurt my finger. That's it. It wasn't a good day. I lost $10. That's it. Wasn't a good day. I slipped and fell. Well, that's it. Now, I ain't minimizing what you're going through, but compared to this, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Wow. You talking about the worst day recorded in the history of the world is Job. See, it's not like this happened days or weeks after. This is all like in a moment. One coming and telling, that's like somebody coming up to you and said, you got multiple, your business, they all burned down. There ain't no insurance to cover it. How you make your living and everything else and employ other people, it's all burned down. It's all gone. Everything gone. Your house burned down. No insurance, gone. Your car gone, everything. The bank where your money in, burned down, gone. No getting it back. It's gone. And this happening right after another. And then eventually tell you there's this strong wind coming and took your sons out. Gone. Sometimes just that right there, that make you feel, I don't care what you're going through. That alone make you feel, you cannot compare. And I know years ago people said, I had a Job experience. No, you didn't. I had a Job experience. Not all of this just in succession, just like that. Now, sure of us, some of us, we've had trying times over periods. But the worst things that ever happened in your life, I'm sure it didn't all happen in a matter of 2 minutes. Name the 4 worst things that's ever happened in your life. It didn't all happen on the same day, and you know it didn't. Now keep in mind, Job, it wasn't like Job was some sinner. He was an upright man who loved God. He had trust in God. But fear caused that hedge to come down. Because remember, Satan's conversation with God is, listen, because you got a hedge around him. You read in that first chapter, early part. He said, all this stuff, you know, that's only because you got a hedge around it. That's why he's untouchable. That's why he loves you so much, because you got a hedge around. But that hedge came down. We could more or less say that hedge is like the shield of faith. And when that shield of faith comes down, then you will feel all the fiery darts of the wicked. Ecclesiastes talks about when the hedge comes down, the serpent can bite you. See, now, when fear got in there, Satan was able to manifest what he wanted. And it all became because of Job's fears. Because he said, the thing which I greatly fear. Now, the thing which he greatly feared obviously was his children. But you got to remember, fear is a spirit. See, in other words, if you're afraid, if there's fear in one area, it's like a domino effect. It's going to affect other areas. Because it's a spirit. See, get out of your mind, it's just an emotional, scary feeling. Fear is a spirit. It's a force. See, just allow the spirit of fear to get in you about what you think is one area. Trust me, it's going to go into other areas. And this is more or less what happened with Job. See, it wasn't just about his sons, because remember, he's doing this fearful prayer just in case they sin and blah, blah, blah. And obviously he said a lot of other things, and then it probably got fearful in his stuff. You know, he'd be like, man, boy, what happened? If something happened to my kids, I won't be able to leave nothing to them. See, now he'd have spreaded that fear on his stuff. You all here, you go home. So the thing which I greatly fear has come upon me. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, Lord, what am I afraid? No, I ain't saying with everything, but is the reason I'm where I'm at today in certain areas is because fear, I allowed fear. I gave the devil some ammunition to manifest my fears. Is the reason I'm alone today because for so many years I feared being alone. See, now this from the pulpit to the back door. Sometimes you got to locate your fear. You know. What are you afraid of? I had to ask myself that a couple years ago. Certain things concerning my children, certain decisions they made. But I had to check me. And I had to locate, okay, what? You react a certain way now. What is it you're afraid of? And I had the fear of, well, if they did certain things, this could possibly happen. And any good parent, you don't want no negative off things happening to your children. But that ain't the point. You have to locate those fears. Now let me also inject this, and I'm going to hurry on up. Fear cannot just pop up on you. It don't just all of a sudden, you know. Satan can't just, you have to open that door somewhere. You know, and one of the ways you open it, really, you start kind of leaning in your faith and getting, you got to be very, very careful. That's why it's not good to practice disobeying God when God tells you to do something. Because sometimes those are ways you can open that door for fear to come in. So it doesn't just show up just whenever it likes. You and I have to open that door. That's why we're told in Scripture, give no place to the devil. Don't give place to fear. You know. Sometimes when God instructs me to do something, especially something that's too big for my head, sometimes I just won't think about it, just do it. Because sometimes you sit there and think too long, you talk yourself out of it. And the enemy will give you 1,001 reasons why not to do it. And then if you're not careful, then you start rationalizing, then that fear will creep in there. Sometimes when you know that you know God said do something, sometimes you just got to. I've been that way. That has happened to me countless times. I can be at home, Lord to say, write out a check and send it to somewhere. And I'm telling you how serious it's been. Yeah, I'm on my way to the washroom, and I said, no, let me get in there and write it quick, because if I go to the washroom, between that and that's too graphic, ain't it? Between that trip and back there, I'd be like, did the Lord really say that? Sometimes you just got, That's real life, folks. I didn't embarrass you on that, did I? Come on, sometimes you got, sometimes you stall too long on something. You know that you talk yourself out of it. Today turn into tomorrow, few days now, next week, and then end up being never. Let me end with this. Fear is a choice. It's a choice. Let's go to Mark, the 5th chapter of Mark, and we're going to wrap it up. Now, let me say this too, because you may be in a challenging time. A bad situation doesn't mean you have fear. That doesn't mean that all the time. Now, it is a choice. In the 5th chapter of Mark, verse 21, it says, and when Jesus was passed over again by the ship unto the other side, much people gathered unto him, and he was nigh unto the sea. And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet and besought him greatly, saying, my little daughter lieth at the point of death. I pray thee, come and lay thy hands on her, that she may be healed, and she shall live. Now, Jairus, obviously he's in faith. He's saying, listen, come and lay your hands on her. I know she's going to be healed and she's going to be alive. She's near death, but hey, you come and lay hands on her. Hey, she's going to be healed. So this Jairus' faith, he had no doubts, none of that. So verse 24, so Jesus went with him, and much people followed him and thronged him. Then we know it picks up with that certain woman, the issue of blood, and so on, and we know her story and all of that kind of stuff. And this is while on the way to Jairus' house, you know. And so they're going along, and the woman with the issue of blood touches him, and she gets her healing and all of that. And then in verse 34, verse 33, it says, but the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, and fell down at him and told him all the truth. Now, I don't know how long that conversation was. Now, keep in mind, they're on the way to Jairus' house. Jairus saying, listen, his daughter's near death. It ain't like she got to look cold. She is near death. You know, really, if the miraculous doesn't happen, she is dying. She was on her way to die. She was dying. So now on their way there, you know, this woman comes up and, you know, she gets her revelation, get her faith going and all of that. And faith manifests the word. Because we know her story. Then she tells Jesus all that had happened to her. Now, Jairus could have been, now remember, he's a ruler. Jairus is somebody. You know, he could have got kind of impatient like some of us. Like, hey, he going to do something. You ain't got to save your testimony for the first Sunday. So who knows how long that, and I'm sure she had a lot to say. For her going through this for 12 years. And we know a little bit about it that say she spent all she had, went from doctor to doctor, and so on and so on. So she could have been going on and on and. But then look at verse 35. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? And as soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said unto the ruler of the synagogue, or unto Jairus, be not afraid, only believe. One translation says, overhearing but ignoring what they said. Jesus said to the ruler of the synagogue, do not be seized with alarm and struck with fear. In other words, do not fear. It's a choice. I heard what they said. Don't bother Jesus any longer. Your daughter is dead. And Jesus heard them saying that. Now, see, Jesus knew what he was on assignment to do, but it wasn't about Jesus. It was about Jairus. See, if Jairus would have said, forget it, Jesus, she's dead, you might as well go on back. Jesus couldn't have did anything. He just probably stood there and maybe gave a few words of comfort. Say, Jairus, hey, sorry about your daughter. Now, somebody said, man, no, maybe Jesus would have went anyway. No, he wouldn't. Because the scripture said there are many miracles he could not perform because of the unbelief of people. I learned some years ago, God will allow what you allow. You allow the poverty, God will allow it. You allow the sickness, God will allow it. You allow the depression, God will allow it. He will allow what you allow. Doesn't have nothing to do with his will or not. Was it his will for Jairus' daughter to be raised? Absolutely. But because it's his will, it's not automatic. You know, some folks say, God can do what he wants to, when he wants to. No. It's the will of God that no man should perish. But is everybody going to be saved? Nope. Because of God? Nope. Because of people. You know, years ago, somebody used to ask me, why would God send somebody to hell? I say, he don't. Hell was made for the devil and his angels, not for people. But if you refuse the plan of salvation, you sending yourself there. So Jesus tells Jairus, hey, ignore what they said. Ignore that. See, this goes back into what we opened up with about your perception. See, ignore what they said. Don't you focus on, don't you look at what they said. Do not fear. It's a choice. Well, Pastor, my bills are bigger than my income. Do not fear. Pastor, but the doctor said that it's a choice. Do not fear. But Pastor, it just don't look like I'm going to be able to do this or I'm going to be able to get. Do not fear. But Pastor, you don't know how. Listen, Jairus' daughter was dead. It wasn't like she sleep. She was dead. Jairus knew when he left she was near death. Then one of his people came back and said, don't trouble him anymore. She's dead. And if that wasn't an opportunity to fall into fear, I don't know what it is. But Jesus said, ignore that. Don't you fear, Jairus. And obviously, Jairus didn't fear. He's like, I'm on a mission. Let's go on and go. I'm going back with what I originally said. If you come and lay hands on my daughter, she's going to be healed and she's going to live. His faith was live. It didn't make a difference that she died. His faith was she's going to live. My God, my God. And I have no doubts, Jairus, the temptation was there. But you got to stand like, hey, I'm not looking at that. Nope. That's not my perception. I know what I see because I know what I'm looking from. I'm not looking from what the guy came and told me, but I'm looking from what the promise of the word is. So I'm ignoring that. I hear what you're saying. I know my credit is spot. No, I can't do. I know it, but no. I'm looking from. Tell somebody, do not fear. Make it personal. I refuse to fear. Remember, God has not given us the spirit of fear. But what he's given us is power, love, and a sound mind. Isaiah 41:10 says, fear thou not. For I am with thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Folks, don't you lose focus. Don't you allow fatigue, frustration, or the spirit of fear to cause you to let go of your faith. Don't you do it. Temptation may be there. But don't you yield to that temptation. You keep your eyes on the truth of the word and not the facts of the situation. You zero in on, Lord, what you said, because I know what you say is true. You can never change the truth. Has nothing to do with what's being said out there. I'm out of time. I'll pick it up. God bless everybody. Those of you who will be viewing this, once again, you can give us a call. We'll see you on this coming Wednesday for Better Life Lessons. Come on, let's thank God. Oh, my.